I'm suffering from anxiety since 15 years old. So I am, and for anyone else on this live or anyone that's watching this that has had anxiety for many, many years, what you want to understand is that your nervous system didn't just get dysregulated from like one day, right? It happened over the years, and clearly for you, it started since 15, right? So, what you have to understand is you right now, your identity, your thoughts, your choices have conditioned your nervous system to be the way you are. So if you want to heal anxiety and you want to become a person that didn't have anxiety since they were 15 or doesn't have anxiety in adulthood, you're going to have to start making different choices and different thoughts, right? Okay, next question, Amina. Hey, I'm also struggling from anxiety and your videos are helping me. I'm glad, Amina. I hate my intrusive thoughts. So, Amina, you kind of already failed before you started by hating your intrusive thoughts. Whenever you have resistance to the thoughts that you're feeling, a lot of what gives your thoughts power is that there's three ways to deal with intrusive thoughts. One is learn mindfulness so you can just let the thoughts pass without actually focusing so much on it and just let it be a thought. Whenever you're anxious, right, and you have an intrusive thought, when you're in that fight or flight state, your mind is going to fixate on that intrusive thought and be like, oh my God, what if I actually do that? What if this happens? Now, you will spiral about that thought, causing you to ruminate about that thought, making the intrusive thoughts feel like more of an issue than it actually is. But if you were to just let that intrusive thought come and then let that intrusive thought pass, you wouldn't focus on it and you wouldn't feel like it was dictating a lot of your day or how your anxiety was going. The second thing, if you haven't got the mindfulness and you're spiraling, is to go through Dr. Daniel Amen's 6-question framework on dealing with intrusive thoughts or negative thoughts. So, first thing you want to ask, is it true? So, for example, a common intrusive thought that people get, what if I hurt myself or what if I hurt someone else? Well, have you hurt them right now? And have you hurt yourself right now? No. So it's not true. First thing. Second thing, how do you feel about that thought? So like, where do you feel it? What are the emotions associated with that thought? Then what is the outcome of this thought? So because you have this intrusive thought, what have you done? So for example, I had someone that joined my community recently on a trial, and she's OCD, and one of the intrusive thoughts that she dealt with was disliking her partner. So then whenever she had that thought, right? So I was like, what's the outcome of that thought? She's like, oh, well, I'm not present when I'm hanging out with my partner. Okay. How would you feel if you didn't have that thought? And then she was like, oh, well, I'd be more present. I'd not even care. I'd like pay attention to him. Act like that and think of memories in the past where you have acted like that, which you obviously must have. He became your partner for a reason, right? Hey, Jazz. Thank you for the likes. All right, guys. A lot of more questions. So, next question, how do you deal with DPDR? So the thing with DPDR is you want to understand that DPDR has only happened because it's a protective mechanism by your brain to disassociate, right? Or depersonalize or derealize. Your brain was under chronic stress, and as a coping mechanism, your nervous system thought that the best way of action would be to go into DPDR, a DPDR state. So in terms of DPDR, there's a couple of things that make DPDR worse. Don't avoid situations where you feel your DPDR is more intense. So for example, people find open spaces that DPDR is worse. Things like in trap spaces or when they're watching something or whatever it is. Try and avoid situations, don't avoid situations that make you feel your DPDR. You need to become curious with the DPDR and let it happen to show your brain that it's okay that it happens, right? Second of all, cut out the shit that's making DPDR worse. Slow down in the 420, right? Slow down on how much stimulation you're giving your brain in terms of like porn and video games, constantly scrolling, Googling your symptoms, things like that. Try and get outside, try and show your brain that it doesn't need to deal with DPDR, right? You need to show your brain that it's safe for it to start becoming present, and the DPDR will naturally go away when you stop focusing so much on, oh my God, it's here, oh my God, I'm in DPDR now. When you stop focusing so much on that symptom, it will naturally go away. And if you're doing everything in your control to help, it's going to make massive changes. All right. Next question. Claire, do you know how to get rid of shortness of breath? So shortness of breath, common anxiety symptom. So the first thing you want to understand is like the physicality of the shortness of the breath. So you're feeling the shortness of breath because your nervous system is going into fight or flight, affecting your breathing pattern, making you breathe from your chest and your shoulders instead of your diaphragm, causing your throat to close up, causing you to improperly breathe, right? That is like the physical part of why the shortness of breath happens. Now, the other part is you thinking and your anxiety about the shortness of breath. So whenever you get the shortness of breath, slow down, pause, let that be there. Don't get rid of it. Don't try and control it. Don't try and breathe deeper. Let it be there. If you know some sort of mindfulness and somatic tracking, this will come in clutch. Okay. Okay. Next question. A couple of these aren't really questions. Go ahead, say your question. Is it about the heart attack? Okay, so whenever I sit on a bike, I feel like that I am having a heart attack and can't even take a breath. That's okay. Let your body feel however it wants to feel on a bike. Get on the bike anyway. Do it scared. If your body was going to collapse and run out of air, it would have done so and you wouldn't even have had the time to think about it. So, whenever you do feel the sensation, what's happening is you're getting lost in your mind and you're going in this spiral as you're feeling the physical sensation. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, most of you guys, including me in the past, did not actually have the self-awareness to stop myself from going in the spiral. That's why you feel it happens like 0 to 100, but you'll notice it isn't usually like, oh, intense physical symptom. It's usually you feel a sensation or you get triggered, you start thinking about that sensation, and then you might even overthink your point to an anxiety attack or a panic attack, right? If you know how to slow down, breathe, soften your body, know how to genuinely stay in your body so your nervous system feels safe, you'll notice that you get lost in the spiral less and less. Stay off Reddit? Yes. Good advice, Jazz. Does a MADS debate affect the BDR? So it depends if this MADS debate was this thing that gave you stress. So times of stress can trigger your anxiety and make it worse. Okay, next question. SB, currently suffering anxiety, ADHD, PTSD, I've had enough. I'm so glad that you said that, and I'm so glad that you said you've had enough, because usually it takes people to suffer tremendously before they make any sort of change. So for example, with me, it took for my health issues to become so chronic and affect my quality of life for me to be like, okay, something needs to change. And if nothing changes, nothing changes. So the change happens with you. So in the beginning, you have to focus on things you can't control. You can't control if the physical symptom is there. It's already there. It's already manifested. Your nervous system dysregulation is already there. The only thing you can control is your actions, thoughts, and choices from this point on, right? So if you ever read things like The Secret or The Law of Attraction, and also the fact that, visualization, and I'm talking about stuff that has science behind it, not like pseudoscience. So for example, things you can control. You can control how much you Google your symptoms. You can control how much you seek reassurance. You can control what habits you're doing. You can control what you're putting into your body. You can control how you're moving your body. You can control the people you're spending your time with. Now, when you start analyzing, well, not analyzing like an anxious sense, but like more just doing some self-reflection of why did this anxiety happen and what are the current choices and habits that I'm making in the present moment, day to day, that is not helping me. Because I promise you, if you make enough choices and steps towards the direction you want to go, which is towards this identity in a person that has a regulated nervous system, that has healed anxiety, eventually you will get there. But you need to start acting like the person now. Like, I hear a lot of this where people want to go back to their old self, and that's totally fine. But the thing is, at the same time, your old self created your present self, right? So whatever you were doing in the past clearly wasn't serving you because it led you to where you are now. Okay, next question. Cursed. In low mood and worthless and anxiety symptoms, I feel like I'm not worthy of recovery. So it sounds like you feel you're stuck in a toxic cycle of shame, which I was too, right? So if you've ever followed Chris Gurner's work, what I teach to help people with shame, which is a common cause and the common root cause of nervous system dysregulation, where you're actually addicted to shame without even realizing it, is self-compassion. Self-compassion. So the first thing you want to do is gain some mindfulness of this feeling of shame and ask what it would be like to genuinely accept this emotion of shame, right? So if I were to feel the shame, what would it be like if I were to allow the part of me that feels like I'm not worthy of recovery? What would it be like if I were to actually allow that part of me, that sensation, to be there, right? Now, let's reframe to have some compassion towards this feeling. Imagine 6-year-old you, or someone you love, like your parent, your boyfriend, your spouse, your like someone you really care about, or 6-year-old you, whichever one resonates more. If they had this feeling and they were having the same thoughts as you, the same emotions as you, and the same shame as you, and going through the anxiety like you're going through, what would you say to them? How would you feel towards them? What attitude would you have towards them? Would you tell them you're not worthy of recovery and you should feel like this for the rest of your life? Would you say that to someone you love? You wouldn't. So imagine what you would genuinely say to them, what you would want to hear, and then softly, in the voice of your mind, give those affirmations to yourself and notice the feeling they produce in your body. Now, I can say this and you might try and force yourself to do it, but you really want to actually do like a meditation course specifically for self-compassion, or a meditation course that actually teaches you to be present. And like that's kind of why I've made my own. And the link is in the bio if you want access to that. Okay, next question. Okay. Okay, I've had a lot of heart palpitations today and I've been very anxious and emotional. What can I do? So, one, don't try and get rid of the heart palpitation. Don't try and fix it. Let it be there. The heart palpitation is not the problem. Your response to the heart palpitation is the problem, right? If you want to be very anxious and emotional, let it be there. Now, in terms of proactive things you can do that would help your anxiety and palpitations, exercise, going for a run, go lifting some weights, taking a walk, hugging someone you love, dancing, somatic shaking. Pick one of those things and do it. Miss Gray has asked, is it possible to feel sensations 24/7? So here's the thing, right? It's not necessarily that your physical symptom is there 24/7. It's the fact that your brain is misinterpreting those sensations and you are thinking about your sensations 24/7. You're focusing on your sensations 24/7 and it's making you feel like they're there. So for example, this is why when people have tinnitus, which I had as well, I would only notice the ringing. Like I would be like, oh my God, it's there. And I would only focus on the ringing in my ears. And I would feel like it was there 24/7. The moment I stopped focusing so much on the ringing, like I would only notice it here and there. So it's not so much that the sensations are there 24/7. It's more that you're focusing on it 24/7, making you feel like they're there 24/7. Does that make sense? Okay, next question, Jordan. Is anxiety when you feel wound up tight for no reason? Yes, that could be a way your anxiety has manifested into a physical symptom. Big lad. My next question. My physical symptoms have gotten very bad. Last few days, I don't know why. And that's okay. Even when you're healing, even when you're feeling better, out of nowhere, your symptoms might get intense for no particular reason. The thing is, your symptoms right now are familiar to you. What I mean by that is they're the known, that's what you're used to. So whenever you start healing or feeling better, you're stepping into the unknown and that's uncomfortable. Your mind is actually, so your nervous system is actually connected to this or addicted to the stress right now. Your body's addicted to the stress, right? So So to make you go back into the spiral, it might give you symptoms, which is fine. The less focus you put, the better. Miss Gray, how do you book the one-on-one? Is it worldwide? So most of the people I work with are from the US, from the UK, and some in Europe, right? If you do want to book a one-on-one and you're from one of those places, then just click the link on the bio, sign up to the community, and inside the community is the link. And the reason it's inside the community and the link is to protect the people inside the community and to see if you're a good fit for the community. Okay. Next question. Okay. Is yoga helpful? So, yes, I love yoga and I've been practicing it for 4 years now. It's helped my IBS symptoms a lot. So the thing is, if you think of meditation, like learning to be present with your mind, yoga helps you be present with your body in a real way. And yoga is always really helpful because it helps you translate off the mat. So when you're on the yoga mat, right, creating mindfulness of your body, letting your body stretch, breathe. And whenever you're actually getting up and doing things during the day, that helps. Okay, my light is very bright. Okay, next questions. Marianne, does the symptoms go away completely? So whenever your nervous system starts regulating itself, you might notice still symptoms here and there, and that's okay. If you just continue on the path, I promise you, eventually your symptoms will fully go away. When will they go away and how long will they take? As long as it takes, right? And that's okay. Don't give yourself like a deadline of I need my DPDR to go by this date or I need my physical symptoms to go by the end of the year. Don't give yourself a finish line. Your nervous system is allowed to take its time and it's allowed to take however long it wants to. When you try and rush it, that's whenever you're actually making it take longer. Okay, Dot. Hey Gabe, I tried to join your group, but I was turned away. I'm unsure why. So the moderators might reject you on the group if they feel like you're not a good fit. So for example, if you don't have a profile pic or a bio, if you're from a part of the world where it'd be pretty much impossible for you to access like the one-on-one calls, things like that. And also if like you actually would find the community useful. So most of the people that find the community useful are either business owners, employed, students with work, and are actually looking to invest in their healing and join my second community. So if the moderators feel like you wouldn't be a good fit, that's probably why you got rejected. But you can still access all my free content, all my free resources, just not inside the community. Okay, next question. Is there any way to tell the difference between intrusive thoughts and my own thoughts? Good question. So, in terms of your own thoughts, all thoughts are actually not you, right? And this is where meditation teaches you that you are actually the awareness of all thoughts, including intrusive thoughts, right? So with meditation, you realize you can actually become aware of every thought. And you can also become aware of the thoughts that are putting your nervous system into fight or flight. And when you can detach and truly get awareness of those thoughts, that's when real transformation happens, real healing happens. Okay. Crystal, I know they say if you keep going through anxiety, you'll develop diseases. Where do I draw the line at? So that's very true because that's what happened with me, right? And here's the thing. Stress is a creation of most disease, right? Now, there's obviously other factors, but in terms of diseases where like there's no explanation, stress was most likely cause, right? So in terms of where you draw the line, is you draw the line here today and you take action today, right? Now, if it's about health anxiety, you're just going to manifest disease and health issues if you keep thinking about it eventually down the line. I'm not saying that to trigger anyone. I'm saying that to make you take action. But here's the thing. If your thoughts and stress can make you sick, can your thoughts make you well? And the answer is yes. So for example, if you've ever followed Joe Dispenza's work or you've looked at the science of visualization, the body whenever you intensely visualize something, Your mind doesn't know the difference between whether that's real or not real. So if you feel like, you have disease, or you're going to get disease, or your health anxiety, visualize a healthy you, a safe you. What would that person feel like? What memories would they have? What emotions would they have? Mentally rehearse that every morning when you wake up. Like, I have a couple goals that I'm trying to achieve right now. When I wake up in the morning, I visualize what the emotional feeling of what those goals would give me. I visualize and I feel. Even if it hasn't happened yet, I feel as if though they've happened, because the experience of that is within me. Mose, is it normal to get more fatigue while doing exposure? Of course, and that's okay, because you're putting your nervous system under something that it defined as stressful. So whenever you're putting yourself in that environment, it's going to make you feel more exhausted. Now, the best way to approach this is to not burn yourself out and pay attention to your nervous system. Not paying attention to your thoughts, but pay attention to how you feel, right? You have an intuition of whether you're near burnout or whether you're about to, at your limit. But this is different to your mind convincing you you're at your limit, because the mind will give up way before the body gives up. So for example, anyone that's exercised or done weightlifting, you know that let's say I'm doing like a bicep curl and I'm on my 12th rep. The moment my mind says, oh, give up now, it's enough, you can actually do 5 to 10 reps more. So the mind will give up way before the body will give up, right? And it's about listening to your body over your mind. Does that make sense? But yeah, it's normal. Okay. You're welcome, Crystal. Okay, Jessica, next question. Hey, did you ever experience intrusive thoughts? I'm pregnant and my stress and anxiety has been bad. So I'm going to help you out, Jessica, because you having a good mental health and low stress is going to help your soon-to-be-born baby. So, with intrusive thoughts, right? The thing that gives them power is when you focus on it, and then that intrusive thought leads to a next thought, and then the next thought, and then the next thought. For the next 30 days, Jessica, meditate. Learn some genuine mindfulness, specifically for anxiety, right? So if you need help with that, my community has that, right? Just join it and then book the call with me and you can get access to that. Now, in terms of other ways to deal with intrusive thoughts is to reframe them. So let's say you have an intrusive thought about your baby, right? Oh my God, what if something bad happens to the pregnancy, right? So let's ask the first question by Dr. Daniel Amen to rewire automatic negative thoughts. Is it true? Well, I haven't given birth yet and nothing has actually happened yet, so it's not true, right? Now, how do you feel about that thought? Well, I feel stressed, I feel worse, I feel impending doom. Okay, what's the outcome of that thought? Well, I go research symptoms, I go do my safety behaviors, I go do negative habits, I do coping mechanisms, I talk about my anxiety, complain about anxiety. Okay, cool. Now, if you didn't have that thought, what would that look like? Well, I'll be so calm in my pregnancy, I'd be able to stay present with it. Now, have there been times where you felt where you didn't have that intrusive thought? Well, yeah, in memory XYZ, meditate on those thoughts. Meditate on those memories and meditate on the feeling that gives you. So whenever you have the intrusive thought, see it as an opportunity to rewire the intrusive thought. And the other thing you can do is define the worst fear. So sometimes when you're having an intrusive thought about a situation, so for example, many years ago when I left my job to do this full time, right? I would be hey, what if this doesn't work out? What if, this business isn't successful, all these things, and what if, and I'm okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, probably the worst thing that could happen is, this wouldn't work out and then I would probably have to get another job and yeah, okay, well, that's not so bad, right? It's not like I'm gonna die. So even if the worst thing happens, I'll probably be fine. Now, if the intrusive thought, the thing that it says the worst thing would happen, then rewire it, and also meditation and not pay attention to it. And thank you for the gift, Chris. Okay, love that, guys. And if you guys need more help and you want to talk to me one-on-one, just go apply to the community on the bio. If you get accepted, you can book a call with me. So hopefully I'll speak to you then. All right?